Hello, 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 everyone. This is episode 13 of the Collective Podcast. This is our first live episode. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I have Hardcore Peace next to me. That's Mike Tillery. Joining soon will be Rodney and Trey. Talk to him, Mike.
What's up, people? It's overcast here in Philly, a little bit rainy. I'm just ready for the heat, man. I'm ready for the good weather. Sitting out in your lawn chair and getting it in. But this right here is like April, March weather. But it's cool. How y'all doing out there, though? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome to the show. So I'm here in Los Angeles, and it's funny. The other day, Mike, you were talking about the weather out there and how it was affecting you, and I meant to say something about how it was affecting us because it was actually raining that one day, and I was super excited about it raining that one day. But I know you guys are just, you're getting bombarded with what you guys call weather constantly, and we're just sitting over here in the sunshine, just lapping it up. And I'm one of the few that would rather the rain come back. I love overcast skies and all of that, but we take what we're given, right?
Yeah, it's cool. Just on these holidays, people want to get out and grill, But I'm sure the beer goes down just as smoothly when it's overcast, right?
I wouldn't know, but I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. Hey, I was just talking to Mike off camera about the crickets in the background playing call and response, like the crickets in the daylight talking to us. That's so dope. Like you live near nature, and I live in Los Angeles.
It seemed like there was an explosion of this and this COVID stuff because there's just more insects. There's like the garter snakes are sitting on top of bushes now. I mean, it's like they're emboldened to be out in public like that.
Right.
But yeah, it seems to be a lot more nature going on. I mean, that's always a good thing. We got a bunch of chipmunks around here, one rabbit, a bunch of squirrels. We used to have a lot of rabbits, but I guess the foxes got to them. But yeah, it's cool out here, man. I love nature. I love hearing all the sounds and just going out and looking at the sky.
Wait, that's cold blooded. You said the foxes got to the rabbits?
Oh yeah.
No, that hurts my feelings. The foxes ate the rabbits.
Foxes ate the rabbits. They ate the squirrel.
All right, I'm good.
Rod, are you hearing this? He said the foxes ate the rabbits.
I did.
Like his foxes ate his rabbit. Well, you know what I mean. In his neighborhood.
Pets.
Not pets.
No,
not pets, but just in his neighborhood.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Right?
we got coyotes over here. I don't know what they're snacking on.
Hey, so I promise y'all this is a sports podcast, but we're gonna talk about nature. So first of all, let's reel it back. We have a free hop coming. Hey, episode 13, we're live. Thank you, YouTube viewership. Thank you right now, Facebook viewership. Thank you in the future, Spotify and Anchor listenership. We definitely appreciate you guys all hanging with us, whether you're watching live right now or you're watching the replay. We absolutely appreciate you. Mike and I were just sharing some things about the weather and talking about nature, and now Rodney started talking about coyotes in his neck of the woods. And I'll tell you that Brianna and I saw a coyote last night in the middle of the street, and so Brianna starts yelling at the coyote, and I'm telling her that that coyote was around one of the times that I was on the trail running. But then there's a homeless guy or a guy just sitting on the sidewalk as we're driving by, and so Brianna decides to warn him, and so she yells out, "There's a coyote coming!" as we drive by. And so I don't know if the guy took it seriously or not, but I know the coyotes don't necessarily want smoke with humans if you don't go after them first. Has that been your experience, Rod, with your neighborhood coyotes?
You know what? They don't seem to look scared around us. They just run straight through the yard and keep going where they're going.
Okay. Okay.
They
So-
don't come towards us. They just don't run away from us. They just, when they got a mission, they just go.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're able to feel pretty safe though, because you're not charging them necessarily.
Right. You know, well, I gotta always watch for Zaire to be, you know, out there playing. So it's about all.
All right.
Because
Well,
I
thanks
think
for
they kind of look for smaller people, smaller animals.
So they do
Right.
all for me. So
Well, listen, what we haven't done yet, I did thank everyone. What we haven't done is introductions. And we haven't done this in a while, but since we're live today, why don't everyone just go around the horn and kick it off, like who you are. You don't necessarily have to give your background, but just, you know, say who you are and what you want to share. Go ahead, Mike.
Michael Tillery, 15, almost 20 years into the game. Reporter, radio show host, worked with Chuck D. Claim to fame is Chuck D in the Julius Irving interview for 3 hours. You know, I like to write. I like to add a different style to writing, so it's just as entertaining as the prose and the you know, writing the scenery of whatever I'm reporting on. You know, really just trying to give everybody a sense of sports, you know, based on your view, but not looking at them as superheroes, but looking at them as yourselves, so you can more relate to the game.
Absolutely. That's what's up. Rod.
Rod Saucier here. Baby hair 5'6" name came from a character I created, a soulful R&B legend that no one got a chance to see because he got kicked out of every group he joined. Anyway, character was started so I could wake the kids up in the morning because they hated to get up for school. So I threw on this wig, threw on some glasses, grabbed a guitar, and I started making a whole bunch of noise to wake the kids up. And when they opened their eyes and saw the costume, they fell in love with it. So Baby Hair's been here ever since. And now it's like kind of spread on Facebook. So people actually call me Baby Hair sometimes more than my actual name. There it is.
And to be clear, all of you guys out there, he's got many names. His current government name is Rodney Saucier, but he has names that precede any government other than the government of God, because he is the one that actually enticed Eve to grab the apple from the tree and pass it off to Adam. And then he was resurrected and somehow became young again when it was time to build the ark, and he helped Noah with that. You know, this guy just, he's timeless. So shout out to Baby Hair. Now, before my other guy introduces himself, I need you guys to understand something. This is episode 13, and it's very important just overall because you guys have been with us throughout. And if any of you are first timers, then hey, be first timers, welcome. But this is important that it's number 13 because that's a lucky, well, historically was a lucky number for Trey, 13. And so that's something that I've never forgotten. I've known him basically my entire life. And so, yeah, number 13, go ahead and tell us who you are.
all right, so Trey Hopson. So by Trey Hop, the reason that number 13 so much is that my name is Trey. So I love the 3, and I feel like you'll never meet another person like myself. So there's only one real Trey in the world, and that's me. So that's, you know, in my basketball numbers and stuff growing up, if number 3 wasn't available. But I'm not a journalist. I'm not a writer. I'm a person. I love sports, and I love to talk about it. And I'm here to share my knowledge of sports with you guys so you guys can see it through my eyes, and hopefully you love it.
Yeah, well, hopefully you will. So that's Mike, that's Rod, that's Trey, and I am AC. I'm also Tony. I'm also Q.
Oh,
You can go back to my early baseball days when I was Hollywood, or go back to some later baseball days.
God's great grandfather.
Wow.
yeah.
The later baseball days when I was Flash, and I do have a background. I do have background as a journalist, like Mike, and then I'm indeed a fan of sports and have been my entire life. One of the things that was extremely important for me growing up was to follow my dad in who he loved in especially basketball and football. So that was the Los Angeles Lakers and the San Francisco 49ers. And then when the St. Louis Rams moved back to Los Angeles for the first time since my dad was a kid, when he and his dad were season ticket holders, and he left the Rams to become a 49er fan because the Rams moved out of LA, my dad jumped ship from the greatest organization in the world and in the history of the NFL and went back to the Rams. So, hey, I followed him into the love for the 49ers, and good riddance to him for leaving. And he's a fan of the show, so he'll see that. He'll see that he got a kind of a twisted shout out. He turned me in the right direction, and then he went in the wrong direction. But he's still a Laker fan, so we'll let him stay. And I finally came home after how many years was it? Let's see, 97. Yeah, so 23 years. I was a Red Sox fan, and then 2020 I came home to the Dodgers with Mookie Betts and David Price and Trey and Rod. You don't want to talk baseball with Mizzo. He's a Yankee fan, and so that's the greatest organization in the history of baseball as far as winning is concerned. And I kind of like to leave him alone. But if he messes with me, then I just say 2004 and drop the mic. But that probably won't come up today. So we're all good. Thank y'all for tuning in. We're going to start it off with...
It's funny how he kind of threw that in at you, right? He's like, well, we're not going to talk about it, so you got to let it sit for now.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. He can always say they have 38 championships, and, you can't fight with that. You're muted, Mike. Probably rightfully so, but welcome back. What were you saying?
Probably, they got like 397 championships.
Yeah, like more than. Wow, Rod was there for every one of them. That's crazy. That's crazy. So listen, we haven't done this before, but I think it's fitting because we're live. We found out that Jerry Sloan, legendary coach of the Utah Jazz, one of the winningest coaches in NBA history, and actually a former NBA All-Star, has passed away. So let's give a moment of silence to Jerry Sloan. All right, so Jerry Sloan has passed away. We've talked about a lot of the Bulls and the Utah Jazz in competition because we were watching The Last Dance, and we know that they've played in 97 and 98, right? Back to back against one another. And obviously Jerry Sloan was the coach, and we haven't heard a lot from him since then. And now he's gone. And I don't know that we know how or why he's gone. I don't know if it's COVID-19 complications or not, but he's gone. So what is it? Where does that take you specifically, Mike?
It was 1,223 wins and 802 losses, I think it was. Just a consummate coach. He got the most out of his players. As we saw in 98 and 97, 98. We saw guys like Howard Isley, Shannon Anderson. They were making big buckets. And it's really how Byron Russell came along and started to really contribute and be a force on that squad on both ends of the floor. Jerry Sloan would tell his players, look, y'all just go out there and play and let me holler at the refs. I got this. He was really good with his players. They loved him. He's actually my favorite coach to interview because he comes straight out of his mind. There's no filter at all. And I really appreciate the things that he would say. He would educate you on the game if need be to get you to a point of intelligence. And it was just so cool. He was a great tough player, and that great toughness is what translated over to coaching, and also was able for him to be just a great basketball man. I mean, we lost a titan, and I don't know if the kids really understand the great man and this player and coach that Jerry Sloan was. I mean, people, you would probably have your preconceived notions about him, but when you talk to him personally, you see that he is just a good dude. The competition is on the floor. The competition is for time. But when it comes to speaking to people and just being in any type of human sense, I mean, he just was that guy. And rest in peace, Coach.
Yeah, you guys can chime in too. I know that you guys both have stuff to say about Jerry Sloan.
Yes, I mean, Izzo said it. He was a titan, man. He was an awesome human being. Great coach. Would have had championships, but he just came across a hurdle that he couldn't get over. I mean, he came across MJ, and if you got to lose to the best in the world, then you would take that. I know you guys have different views. I mean, I have a different view, but everybody says MJ is the best in the world. But we all have our own, notions on that. But at the time, you can get over with MJ. But it was a great coach. Anytime you lose a legend, a Hall of Fame coach, anybody with that stature, it's a really sad situation, and that's just adding on to this 2020 that I want to just not really think about anymore. I'm ready for 2021. Somebody sent me something that said, "Hey, I'm leaving tonight. I'm going to 2021. You coming?" And I was like, that was kind of funny, man. It brought some laughter to this year because, we're only 5 months in, man. And I mean, it just keeps on coming, one thing after another. And at some point, you got to say, when is it going to stop? We've been through in 5 months than we've been through more in the last 2 years. Easy. So, hopefully things will go better. Prayers out to, the Sloan family and Utah organization. Prayers for them, and hopefully they can, get through this tough time. And, he's somebody that made his mark here. So at some point, we're going to all go. But your point, when you're here, you want to be remembered when you're gone. And I feel like he did what he was supposed to do to put his staple here. He'll never be a forgotten man. Prayers out to his family.
Yes, it's pretty ironic that he actually faced the Bulls in the championship and played and is a former Bull.
Yep.
It's harder when you lose. Even if you don't know the guy, it's harder when you lose someone who is a consensus good guy. Like,
right?
People don't have bad things to say about Jerry Sloan that I've heard at all. Not about his personality, not about his handling with the press, not about the way he coaches. I've never heard a negative word about Jerry Sloan. Not from players saying, hey, he wasn't upfront with me. He was shady. He didn't tell me this. He didn't explain my role, and I didn't get along with him. Normally, you leave Utah when you're just not what the system needs, or you're just not cutting it. But I've never heard anyone actually mention anything negative about Jerry Sloan. So I think that's a huge compliment to him. That no one speaks about, for him to carry that kind of personality and that kind of kind of thing with the league. It's crazy because he lost to two MJs. He lost to Magic Johnson for years before losing to Michael Jordan. Had to clear that up. But no, I was thinking today when I first heard it, I'm like, they say teams play like their coaches, and he proves that to be true. I mean, if anyone saw video of Jerry Sloan play, or if you witnessed it firsthand, which probably AC is probably the only one who saw his rookie season. He was tough. He was gritty. He was hard nosed, but he wasn't disrespectful. He didn't complain. Emotional, like sport could make any player, but not over the top. And when you saw his teams in the playoffs, you never saw anyone out of control. They were always in control, poised, wasn't easily rattled, and that was him. You see some coaches, they yell and fuss, and the teams yell and fuss. They complain a lot, and the players complain a lot, and it's like a chain reaction. But with him, you didn't see any of that, man. And it's hard to lose the good ones because they don't come along all the time.
I just had this like I said, preconceived notion about Utah, and everything that is Utah, So when I talked to him, it was just that's what I kind of look for as a reporter. If I haven't talked to somebody before, I'm trying to go in there with an open mind, right? But sometimes you have like different perceptions of people. Bruce Bowen was one of them. He was not like he was as a player, and Jerry Sloan was that other guy. He was just real cool. You can just tell he was just a basketball spirit. Like he was a guy that was in the gym all the time. If somebody didn't have a ball, he gave them theirs to play with. As a kid, and we talked about him as a basketball player. Man, he was straight scrappy. Both ends of the floor. Didn't have an identity as an offensive or defensive player. He was a basketball player, and he did what he had to do on the court in a very physical time of play.
Yeah, for me, there are coaches who coached teams that I didn't like, coached in eras that I didn't like particular teams, and I would associate the team with the coach and wind up not liking the coach. Well, from someone who never cheered for Utah to beat anyone other than the Bulls in my entire lifetime, I didn't like them at all, but I had nothing against Jerry Sloan. I mean, it wasn't like I was a fan, but I had nothing against him. I loved Gary Payton, and I didn't like George Karl. I didn't. It has nothing to do with George Karl getting mopped by Phil Jackson in the coaching aspect of that series, the final series where Gary Payton saved all his energy to play offense and didn't guard Jordan. It has nothing to do with that. I didn't like George Karl. I think I obviously disliked Utah for way longer than I disliked. Well, I didn't dislike Seattle, but I didn't like George Karl. I disliked Utah, but I didn't dislike Jerry Sloan. So it's an interesting thing. So shout out to him because I feel like he did it the right way. And there's it's subjective to say that someone did something the right way because there are differing perspectives on what the right way is. But I think that when you look at clips of Jerry Sloan, whether it be in victory or defeat, he just seemed to be, emotional, but he seemed to be a pretty even keel guy who just went to battle for and with his his guys. So rest in peace, Jerry Sloan. Now let's go back to let's stay with the NBA. And what are we saying? What are we hearing about some Bradley Beal movement? Anybody have any thoughts on that? Any particular destinations?
What I'm hearing is the Nets, which would be ridiculous. I mean, they might be the finals participant out of the East.
100%. Now, my question was going to be, who would they have to give up? But if he can just slide in there with Kyrie and KD when he comes back, let me tell you something. They are coming out the East, hands down. That's hands down. They're coming out the East. They'll cause some havoc with Bill.
I mean, it's going to take a while for KD to get back, but once he gets his legs, and I can't see them being anything stoppable on offense. Mm-hmm. I mean, you got three players that are elite at what they do. Bradley Beal, you could make a case for him being, if not the best shooter in the league. Just that we have Curry on the West Coast, who's done some magnificent things, and guys like Kyle Korver and JJ Redick. But I don't know if Beal is right there.
Can we put Clay in there?
Oh, of course, Clay. Yeah, of course, Clay.
Well, don't omit him and then say of course.
Of course, Clay, man. My fault.
They might be at the top.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying, Bradley Beal is a gifted shooter, and he does what he has to do to score the basket. And putting him on a team with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving would just be outrageous. I mean, that scoring three could be one of the most elite scoring threes ever. Mm-hmm. If put together. It's a shame that and do something with John Wall. John Wall's been off injured, but I mean, he's just a gifted player. And I think he's basically lost in the NBA because he's in DC and they aren't relevant. But heading to Brooklyn and everything they're trying to do with the culture there, and the intensity that they're bringing to that arena nightly, adding another dimension of a very, very great scorer, very great, is something that I'm interested in seeing. I just don't want my Sixers to run through everybody. As they mature, I want some competition, and they will definitely have competition if the Nets pull that off.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people in the league that are players and they play a position, but then you have a scorer like Kyle Korver. He's a shooter. He's a scorer. Bill is a scorer and the athlete. When you get scorers and athletes, that's like two people out there. Mm. You know what I mean? So it's always going to be a disadvantage. Like with him out there, Kyrie out there, KD out there, that's already 6 people and 3 people. So when you add 2 more people out there, it's always a mismatch. That's dangerous. If he goes there, watch out for the East. That's going to be the Golden State Warriors of the East.
Well, for me, it sounds good. It sounds good. But so did Houston last year, before this season started. I thought that with Westbrook and Harden on the same squad, I said if they ever got chemistry, they'd be unguardable. Like no one would come close. They didn't find the chemistry prior to the season stopping. They didn't find the chemistry. They were winning here and there, and you got 2 superstars on the same team. You got 2 go-to players down the stretch of the fourth quarter, so you're gonna get some wins, but they're not winning at the rate that they could win. And with this, I wouldn't see the chemistry because each one of them have had their issues with teammates. um, where they've been. So you had Durant, screaming for the ball at the end of games when Draymond went in a different direction and they're having heated exchanges. You've had Kyrie saying, "Hey, it's my time. I need the ball in my hands." Which in the championship years and in the big shots in Cleveland, he had the ball in his hands. LeBron gave it up, but that's been LeBron, you know, through that time. I'm not sure that other players like Kevin Durant would give it up to say, "Hey, Kyrie, you take it." And Bradley Beal, he's fighting for his spot for a bigger chunk of the pie because Bradley Beal was having issues with John Wall in the backcourt. And I personally always preferred Bradley Beal as being the number one option on that team. I think the coaches never in Washington never defined who was going to be the first option, second option, and they didn't define the roles because they had bigs down there that could open things up for them that you can go get a bucket in the paint. They had shooters. They had the wing player from Georgetown, Otto Porter. They had Kelly Oubre. Is that how you say his name?
Nope, that's it.
So they've had shooters on the wings, but they've always competed on who was going to take shots and who was going to be the first option. Bradley Beal clearly had a better jump shot. John Wall is lightning quick. So with the chemistry issue, and we don't know what Durant is going to look like coming back from an Achilles injury because he's not a thick guy. He doesn't have size, so he relies on quickness. And when you spend your playing career relying on quickness and you lose it, you're not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not to say that he can't be great because he's got other little tools in his tool belt. Some players have actually came out better. I think when it happened to Dominique Wilkins, he came out to be a better all-around player because he was just a gunner at first that was trying to get to the basket and dunk on people. And he actually worked on his jump shot while he was injured and came back a much better shooter. Whereas Norm Nixon and Isaiah Thomas kind of declined. They weren't as good. So, we just don't know with that type of injury where it can go. And then we know Kyrie's history at the end of seasons. He's beat up. He's missing games, missing playoff games. And if I'm a GM, is that a chance I would take? Heck yeah. I would take that chance and go trade for him. I mean, they got a couple pieces like Spencer Dinwiddie. He was close to being an all-star. They took D'Angelo Russell instead a couple of years ago, but Dinwiddie was right there. He just didn't have that. I think for me, my opinion, he didn't have that household name that D'Angelo had. I think Dinwiddie was probably playing better than Russell was, but Russell got the nod. Dinwiddie didn't. But if you have to give up one of those bigs like Allen, who came out of Texas, that they're gonna want something big in return. They're just not gonna give Beal away for free.
Right.
So you gotta wonder, are they asking for too much? Are you willing to give all that up to get him? So you got all kinds of offense, but you don't have any more defense. And it has to be a balance. You have to have defenders. All the championship teams have players that can play defense. I've never seen a championship team win the championship with just nothing but shooters. You have to stop somebody. All of those teams that have the gunners, at the end of the day, normally they may go some distance. They may get to a conference final. They may even get to a game 7. But I've never seen them win a championship. And so my theory has been, you have to have, even if you don't have great individual defenders, you have to have great team defenders to get that ring. And depending on what they give up, they may or may not have that. So we'll see. We'll see. I want to see the asking price before I actually give my final thought on it to whether it's a good trade or not.
What was the asking price for Noah's Ark, Rod? What do you think, Mike?
That would be your first championship ring with Jesus and Mary Magdalene's sister.
No, he didn't say Mary Magdalene. Oh man.
I can't see them not asking for like Karis LeVert or Joe Harris. I mean, they're gonna try to get something back.
Oh, definitely.
I think with those two pieces specifically, they could probably swing something with Washington because they're getting shooters back. Karis LeVert is on the rise a little bit. Go blue, but pull that trigger. I want to see it happen.
Yeah, I want to see it happen too. And just to your point, Rod, you said talking about Westbrook and Harden, I thought they would do better also, but then they're still under that D'Antoni umbrella, and we know that that's
favorite coach.
Right. That's not going to win, any type of championship. That's going to actually hinder the players' abilities and stuff like that, because you'll win games, but then when it comes to the playoffs, when you have to play a team 4 out of 7 times, you're not going to beat them.
Trey,
don't play defense.
Trey, to that end, I have a question for you because, and it's going to be funny, but I really want to know what you feel. You've said that dude can't win at any level, D'Antoni, and I'm wondering, like, if he went up to West Wilshire where we used to play, do you think that up at West Wilshire Park,
championship?
Do you think he could win a championship there? Oh man,
no.
Man.
The only way he could win a championship, let me tell you, I'm going to tell you the only way he could win a championship is if they change the league around and you played it like a tournament where you just had to win against one team one time. Right?
Oh, so like an NCAA tournament.
Like an NCAA tournament, yes.
Okay, so he might be able to, because he doesn't make adjustments, but if he handles it through that one game, then he might be all
right.
Okay. And as long as he's playing a different team the next time, so single elimination.
Yep.
Okay. So like a park tournament, because that's definitely what it is at the park.
Yeah.
So, okay, I think you guys have covered it, but it leads me to something else because I've always thought about these duos together. So here's the hypothetical: in their primes as duos, do we take Wall, Beal, or McCollum and Lillard?
B.
Kevin Lillard.
By a long shot.
Okay.
McCollum and Lillard.
Yeah, by a long shot.
Long shot, yes.
Okay.
A long shot.
I felt that. I just wanted to know. Now, so Mike, you want to weigh in?
I mean, yeah, definitely Dame and McCollum.
Okay, so then let's just say Dame is the given. Do we go with McCollum or do we go with Lillard? I'm sorry, do we go with McCollum or do we go with Beal to complement Lillard?
McCollum. I like that duo that they got over there.
Yeah.
They just need more pieces. That's it.
Oh, they got to keep peace before this ended. I was waiting.
Yeah, right. I forgot about that.
They added my boy from UCLA. He was the key.
Yeah, I forgot.
Portland, I told people on Facebook Portland was getting ready to make some noise in the playoffs.
Yes, you're right. I totally forgot about him. He got hurt so early on that I forgot.
Yeah, I mean, they got great pieces. I don't know how effective Bill and Dame would be together. Him and McCollum, CJ, they seem to work off each other.
Yeah.
Like they
they're in sync.
Off the opposite mind almost,
They're in sync.
Yeah, I don't think I would tamper with that.
Yeah.
And there's talks about it because both players obviously are valuable pieces. So you're going to hear a lot of talk, and maybe if the right deal smacks Portland's brand in the face, they might be willing to part ways with both or even one, or even both, I should say.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Stephen Clay. They're like another Stephen Clay 1-2. Like, yeah, they're like a splash in Portland. What they do in Portland, they don't splash. What they do?
And now, and they don't have to work as hard with Trevor Ariza on the defensive end. That when they got Trevor Ariza, I'm like, woo.
Right.
No one talked about that trade, and they gave up really nothing for him. Nothing. And they had the big center coming back from the leg injury from last year.
So you made me think of something, Rod, when you were talking about the extra piece before you said my boy from UCLA. I thought you were talking about Carmelo, and I wanted you to explain that. But then once you said my boy from UCLA, I knew you were talking about Trevor. And here's the interesting thing for me as someone who went to UCLA, but also went to Westchester. I also went to Fairfax with Trey, but I went to Westchester. And when you look at Ken Norton Jr., who played with Rod's grandkids, Ken Norton Jr. went to Westchester, went to UCLA, played for the 49ers. You guys know that's my squad.
Rest in peace, Ken Norton Sr. He just passed.
Yeah.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
You know
Yesterday? Was it yesterday?
Okay. Hold on.
Hold on. Ken Norton
Senior.
Yes.
Yeah, he's been going a couple years.
Really? I just saw something say flash up yesterday. Okay.
He's been going a couple years.
My bad.
Okay, that was a little confusing to me. Listen, I don't want to make light of this, but let's have a moment of silence for Rod's sanity because it seems to be going. Okay. So, yeah. So Ken Norton, Westchester, UCLA, San Francisco 49ers. Trevor Ariza, Westchester, UCLA, Los Angeles Lakers. Just wanted to throw that out there. And then they won championships. To be clear, neither of them won championships at UCLA, but they won at Westchester and they won in the pros. So
and then Garden of Eden, Westchester, UCLA. I see where it fits.
I'm the only one here.
Wait, not Garden.
I bet you couldn't wait for Kane to kill Abel so you can slip in that starting spot, could you?
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Rod is in rare form. Yeah, go ahead and pump, brother. Wait, did you shoot your 6 guns too?
Wow.
Wait, what is happening here? Oh, wow. So NBA, just kind of trying to close out the NBA. We hear that there may be an Orlando and Vegas situation. Anybody want to speak on that? The thoughts of that?
Let's do it. Let's play basketball, man. I'm ready to play. I'm ready to watch. I'm ready to
no fans. Western Conference playoff teams Western Conference in Las Vegas and Eastern Conference in Orlando. That's how it's looking. And they've already started opening a lot of the facilities for the players to start working out and train. So it seems like they were kind of timing this May 31st stay-at-home order to end so that they can get things going again. I think that's what they were waiting for. So they're giving them, a good 2 weeks to do what they do as far as
conditioning,
getting in the facilities to condition. Because I know quite a few have been doing it, away from the team. I'm sure there are some who didn't. Because we see what happens with each of these lockouts. So, they have to give them some kind of time to get in some kind of shape. They're not going to be in game shape right away. So I'm wanting to see if they're going to actually do games and then the playoffs, or I'm hoping they don't just do straight playoffs from where they are. I hope they finish the season and then start the playoffs so that we can get a better product, because these guys won't be in rhythm just going from off the couch and running around with 2 weeks of practice to straight NBA playoffs. They need to hit a groove first.
Yeah, I feel you on that too. And I feel like it would be unfair to a lot of the teams in the West because it's so locked up 5 through 8. So if you just take, what like the 8 seed is, the 9 seed is right there too, where they have a fighting chance to get into the playoffs. So just locking it out right now, I feel like that's unfair. Just finish these games out. They already said that they're not going to start next season until December regardless. So, go ahead and finish this out, let it ride, and get through these games.
Okay.
I think that I don't know how to feel about it because I don't think that we truly know the definition of COVID-19 yet.
Right.
That's my whole issue. Like, what will happen if after this weekend, when a lot of people are going to get together, whether it be at their houses or on a beach, what if there becomes a spike again? And it just seems like all this athletic talk to me, and we can sit here and discuss sports because that's what we love to do, but it just seems like we're just talking about something where it's so uncertain that we don't have any idea. Now, having half the league in one facility and half the league in another, I get it. They're trying to be as safe as possible, but I don't know how that would work. Obviously there's going to be no fans there, so it's going to be, I guess, a couple games during the night. You can't play a full schedule. So how are you going to catch up on the schedule? Is what I'm asking. I don't know the format that they were discussing. I just remember just the rumor of them talking about playing in those 2 cities. But how is that going to work logistically?
Well, what I had thought about was the only way I could see it working if all the Western Conference teams were going to do Vegas, they would have to close an entire hotel where nothing but the NBA players were staying there, and then have buses come and take them. They're probably going to play the game, I'm assuming, like at UNLV.
Thompson Mack, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, Thompson Mack, yeah. Yeah, UNLV.
No, T-Mobile Arena.
T-Mobile. Yeah.
T-Mobile?
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. Because I didn't know, because since there's no fans, I just thought maybe they would just take them where there's a court, opposed to. But you take them to T-Mobile, then after the games, they go on right back and they get and have to do everything that they need to do in that hotel. Because if they're out and about in Vegas and all that, it's not going to work. They're just going to have to go do their job, go back to the hotel, and just have to have enough activities for them to do stuff at the hotel.
Yeah, they're already talking about the facilities are going to be top notch. That they're not going to have them shortened by anything as far as facilities and transportation and all that's concerned. Mm-hmm. That's Jalen Rose. According to Jalen Rose, I was watching last night. That's the plan, to keep them, in a hotel separate from everybody and give food, best rooms, you name it. In his words, you're not going to have 15 players piled up on each other in one room. You're going to have, everybody's going to have a great room. And,
right. I said, you probably have to shut the whole hotel down. And then you think about it, a lot of players is young, man. Shit, all they need is a PlayStation and a TV to.
That's it.
Downtime. Like us, we might go crazy because we old. So, we want to go downstairs and, well, Rod's real old.
I get another one.
But we might want to go downstairs and do something. But the athletes, all they want is a PS3, PS4, 5. What PS are they on right now? 4?
Probably 69,000 million.
Right. That's all they need.
No. Oh man.
Yeah, I actually watched a Korean baseball last night, and they were playing with no fans, and I guess I could say it wasn't that bad. I don't know how that would be if I was actually on the field officiating the game with no fans, because I think football and basketball is a little different, but the baseball game wasn't that bad. You know, they were getting hits and making plays, and people were. I mean, you know, the players were just out there playing.
Yeah.
I couldn't see any personality with the players. That's one thing. You know, normally with the fans kind of rushing behind you and booing or cheering, you know, you see some personality. But I didn't see any personality with the players. They were just out there playing. But the play wasn't bad.
So I was watching real quick. Then we move on. I was watching UFC the other night, and I was watching the matches that they had. And with no fans, you really hear everything that's going on in between the rounds and all of that. However, the two people that were fighting, they have so much respect for each other. The guy got the other one in a hold and said, "Sorry, man, this is part of the business." Apologized before he choked him out.
No.
Yeah. And they played it on the radio and everything. You can hear him say, "Sorry, man, it's part of the business," and then chokes him out.
Wow.
Taps out. I thought that was pretty funny, man. Yeah.
There's a clip of that?
Do I have a clip of it?
There's a clip?
Yeah, they were playing it on the radio.
Oh, wow.
They were playing it on the radio, and they were talking about it.
Goodness. That's a definition of savage for the kids, right?
That's what they told Rod before they sent him into the Coliseum to fight the Lions, and somehow he got help and made it out. So we're glad to have you. We're glad to have you. All right, I think we've pretty much covered the NBA in its entirety right now. I'll say this: if the NBA does come back, I think the consensus on this podcast, led by Mike, is that the Lakers will definitely be victorious. I think that's what Mike told us before. He can correct me if I'm wrong.
They will be.
Yeah, I can't see how they wouldn't be, given that they're rested. LeBron's arrested.
Yeah.
Chilling. I mean, I can't.
I think the key is that Kuzma is rested, because Kuzma is the key to that engine, and he's rested, and he's ready to let out some aggression on the Clippers and the others. All right, NFL. So here we go. We are looking at a quarterback carousel still turning. We're looking at the uncertainty of Dak Prescott in Dallas, coupled with Andy Dalton there as his backup in Dallas with a pretty strong contract. We have Drew Brees returning for 2 years, right? Or is it just 1 year? You guys remember?
I think it's 1 year.
Okay, Drew Brees back for 1 year. His backup, Jameis Winston, is there for 1 year. The third string quarterback in New Orleans is on a 2-year contract, and we'll get to that in a second. But let's talk about Dak Prescott. As yet, still no new contract. Where do we stand with that, guys?
If he's a smart man, he will sign that contract. 5 years, $175 million. He has not proven that he can win. He hasn't.
Huh?
No, you don't think? You think so?
More wins than anybody in the league since he came in the league.
Well, he can't take his team anywhere. How should I say? How about that? When you go 8-8, you're not doing nothing.
But the 8-8 was.
I think they were 6-0.
Yeah, I mean,
They were 6-0.
I mean, I got a lot of thoughts about Dallas. I mean, Dallas is a sideshow. It always has been. That's the reason why they're in the news all the time. This is the reason why it's ludicrous to think that Dak Prescott shouldn't be the highest paid player in the league because he's playing with Dallas and dealing with that media circus. And he also is putting up a lot of yards. He's put up a lot of yards over the course of his career. If that's the standard for this NFL, in terms of fantasy leagues and everything else and points being put up, he's right there with any quarterback in the league in terms of production.
But check this out. If they were winning, if he was winning like Mahomes is winning, it'd be a different conversation.
Yeah, Dallas is different though. I mean, they got so much stuff going on there. Is the point. That's what I'm trying to make. It's the point. Like everybody was talking about Dallas being a Super Bowl contender last year if it wasn't for their coach. Right now he's out of there. I'm interested to see how this team performs, under a new coach, a coach who had a Hall of Fame quarterback and was able to get the most out of him. Different eras, and Dak is of this era. He's the new, wave of young men in the NFL. I just think that if it wasn't for the outside noise, this wouldn't even be a discussion. Like here's what we're hearing today. So Dallas is denying that Dak, turned down 5 years, 175, and asked for $45 million in the last year. Like $45 million in that last year will be a bargain as that year approaches. So it's just the media's, the spin of it to me is what perplexes. And not perplexes, but it just makes me feel that Dak should be just given everything and your mom's, when he gets the contract that he deserves, because all the stuff that's being generated, the stories that we're reading, the packages on these very have a package, and that's what the way it's always going to be. It's something I get on Philadelphia about. I wonder why Philadelphia is so much into the news without a winner until they actually won. But that's something that Dallas has, and it's something that they'll be afforded until Jerry Jones gets rid of the team. But since they gave them the moniker America's team, they're always spoken about. The players have to benefit from that as well, because they're talking about Dallas more than the majority, if not all of the teams in the league daily on these shows.
I agree. But I don't want them to win ever, because they got to come through Philly first, and that's my team. So same conference, don't want you to win. So if they're going to keep him and pay him $400 million and they go 8-8, I love it. Let him get his money. But if they're going off wins, then
playoff wins is what you should say.
Right.
Because he came out the box 13-3 and lost on a miracle pass from Aaron Rodgers. And that was as a rookie, and he's supplanting, Tony Romo. He's I think 30-11. No, that was one of his years. So I mean, sometimes he has like a 3-to-1 in touchdown interception ratio. I mean, he's doing what he's supposed to do. Like there's these little, lapses. The thing with me is that the lapses that everyone is speaking of, do you look for those same lapses in the other quarterbacks who are paid just as much as he wants to be now already? That's the thing. I mean, I think that Dak's abilities are being more scrutinized than usual based on this contract talk. But why are we having this contract talk, especially about the Dallas Cowboys, when you know that Jerry's pockets are never going on a diet? I mean, that should be given this. It shouldn't have been a discussion, is what I'm saying. You know, you can compare him to any quarterback in the league from 2011. I mean, when he came into the league until now, you know, and the production is just the same in my opinion. You know, they don't have the playoff wins, but there were some mitigating factors there that, you know, didn't allow Dallas to even make the playoffs.
So here's the thing, 49er fan, when it comes to Dallas, Dak Prescott, definitely a fan. I had the opportunity to work I worked Dallas training camp as an official. So that's a fun, it's an interesting experience. So I've been able to see Dak live several times. And here's the interesting thing. The Dallas Cowboys got Dak Prescott at a great discount because everybody in the league passed on him at least 3 times. He's a 4th round draft pick. And he was out the box performing. Like as soon as he got on the field, he started performing. And that was a great opportunity for him to show his mettle. But then also, I don't know if it was Jerry Jones or what's Jerry Jones's son's name? Steven? Yeah. I don't know exactly who pulled the trigger on drafting Dak, but you look like a genius right there because you got the man playing on his rookie contract for the first year, the first 2 years. But then it's like, you know what? We want to make sure that we lock him up. You would think we want to make sure that we lock him up and never let him go. So we can always say in the future, hey, this Hall of Famer, and I'm talking about way in the future when he would subsequently become one, this Hall of Famer was a 4th round draft pick. Everybody passed on him 3 times. Like we had some other people that we needed to grab. We always planned on getting him in the 4th round. We got him. We never let him go. He played his entire career here, Hall of Fame, da-da-da-da-da. What you're situated with now is if they don't find a contract for him, then they franchise him, and then they franchise him, and then when I forgot how many years you can do that for until they can actually escape. But so when you franchise him, it's the average of the top 3 at the position or something like that, whatever the math is. So you're gonna pay for the franchise tag anyway, and then if you subsequently let him actually become a free agent, why would he come back at that point? Why would he stay? And for the naysayers that say, oh, I don't know that and I'm not talking about you, Trey, but the ones that say he hasn't done anything, he's not good enough, he doesn't deserve this, he doesn't deserve that, I'll bet $1 to a donut hole that if he were available to come to your team, you take him in a heartbeat. You take all of what he's doing now and all of the upside. And I know that Rodney usually cringes when the term upside is used, but that's generally when people haven't done anything yet.
Right.
That has performed. So he's a performer who also has upside. So that's like that. You could almost call that bonus ball, like Mizzo likes to say, you know, someone who's doing something. And then as far as him like winning a Super Bowl, he's in Dallas. So I don't want that and you don't want that, Trey. Like, come on.
Okay. So
being a Philly fan, I feel like he should, and this is a jab at my own team. I feel like he should get paid twice what Carson Wentz gets paid. Because our quarterback, man, Carson Wentz, brother, I think we banking on the wrong dude right there.
No, that dude got skill, man. He got skills.
Hall of Famer too.
Carson Wentz got skill. Trust me. If he can stay healthy, he's a winner. That rookie season wasn't a fluke. It didn't happen by accident.
That injury that he had, he hasn't been the same since.
Yeah, but some of these teams got to work on that line, you know, and Philly is one of them. You gotta now at this time, defensive ends and the schemes that they're running, you got to have some pass blockers. You can't get these franchise quarterbacks and put them out there unprotected unless there's somebody like Brady who can really read a defense like no other, or Aaron Rodgers. You know, they can get the ball off quicker. But some of these younger guys who are still learning, until he reaches that point, you have to have a really good offensive line to give him extra time. because he's going to read it. He's going to read the progressions a little bit slower. So what I see right now, this year, Russell Wilson is making $35 million. These are average salaries. He's at the top. You got Ben Roethlisberger at $34 million. Jared Goff just signed, a year ago? He's got 33.5. Aaron Rodgers is at 33.5. Kirk Cousins is at 33. Carson Wentz is at 32. So quite a few of those quarterbacks just signed like no more than a year or two ago. If Dak stays on the franchise tag, he's going to get 31.4. If he signs this contract, he'll be equal to Russell Wilson, who has Super Bowl appearances and a win.
It's not even about that. It's about the service. That's the thing that the fans need to understand. When you talk contracts, you're talking about the service. Now, obviously, performance factors in as well. But when it comes to especially the quarterback position, if you are putting up any type of numbers that are comparable with the market value that's already set, that's what you're entitled to. So that's what I'm saying. That all this talk is kind of ridiculous because he should be based on what the market is, that guy, until someone else comes along like Lamar or Patrick Mahomes and resets the market again. But so that's what's happening right now. These other dudes have signed what the previous market was. The market has changed now, and it's going to the future. So Dak has to be paid, accordingly.
Well,
it's a ridiculous conversation
this season because Mahomes is in his final year. So Mahomes is going to set the market. Right. Everybody else is going to be making less than him next year.
Until Lamar comes. And then Lamar is going to reset it.
I don't know if he'll get more than Mahomes.
Huh?
Here's Rod. This is what we have. Let me give a qualifier. Yeah, here's what we have to remember.
His contract is gonna come later. So yeah,
So it's 100% a given. What you're thinking, Rod, is if they both sign right now, then you have to let Lamar sign first, and then Mahomes sign 20 minutes later, or Mahomes have a multiplier that's going to say XYZ.
Right.
But he's going to come up afterward, and I think that. I want to go back to this because this is something that Mizzo actually introduced. He said that speculation says that Dak wants 45 in that fifth year on this 5-year contract, and Mizzo was saying that would be a discount. So if we say $175,000, then we're just saying it's essentially $35,000 per year for 5 years. So assuming that is the case, then what Dak will be asking for is obviously 10 more than that. He'd be asking for 185. 35, 35, 35, 35, 45, because he would be thinking, you think, that in the fifth year of the contract, market value is going to be 45 or so.
Yeah.
What'd you say? Yeah, it'll be at least 30% higher than it is now, or around 30% higher than it is now. So that's where you would have that kicker. But that's all he's saying is because the year is staggered.
Yeah, I got you.
It's 100% going to happen. You could debate if it was the same year. Well, who has more pieces? You could do all of that, but we don't have to do that because it's going to be separate years.
Right. I'm just hoping that Dak's agent is making the right decision. I hope that he doesn't play on this contract year. On this franchise year, and then the market does reset with Mahomes. And teams say after this year, well, we looked at you again. We don't really want to give you 35.
Yeah, he cannot sign that franchise tag. He can't do it. It's gonna set him back. Now it does look at you just talked about him. The quarterback from Washington went to Minnesota. Kirk Cousins. He signed those 2 franchise tags, right?
Yeah.
So now he's getting paid for another team in that top 5, in terms of the salary structure. But Nah, man, like you can't. That can't do it. I saw a lot of punditry last year telling him to play. Even this year on that $2 million a year deal, his rookie deal. I'm like, man, this is just crazy. It's crazy. But again, it's what Anthony said. Him coming out of college and being in the fourth round is going to drop his salary significantly. But I mean, he's kind of played up to comparable stats with the rest of the league. Especially when he starts to approach 5,000 yards in the air. So he's putting up the numbers, and the numbers don't necessarily relate to wins. In terms of how these quarterbacks are paid, they're getting paid by what the last guy made.
Yeah.
We're talking Andrew Luck being the highest paid player in the league at one time. He was, right. I mean, he didn't win any Super Bowls or even go to a Super Bowl. But they were going on his potential and what he brings to the franchise and puts people in the seats and the market value.
Yeah, they definitely don't sign people in the fashion that they used to. It's all, you used to have an actual franchise player that they put the money behind, and now it's just what the market dictates. So you got some players that are not as good getting all kinds of money, and you got really good players getting less than they should be. It's, I don't know. I don't think anyone's ever come out and actually said that the definitions are redefined. That we look at it a different way, and I say that all the time in basketball because it's much more clear. You used to have the franchise player used to be the player who could pack the stadium and be one of the best in the league on both ends of the floor. They did it all, and that was your franchise player. Now it's the same as the NFL. The market dictates, hey, this team is willing to pay me this much. What you gonna do, other team? Oh, you gonna raise a little bit? What you gonna do, third team? You gonna raise it even higher? And then that's what they end up with. Because I know my mind was blown when I saw the point guard from Memphis Grizzlies get $150 million for 5 years. I'm like, wow, they love him that much.
Conley.
Mike Conley Jr. Yeah, when I was in the car and I had to stop for a minute. Like, whoa, this dude broke the bank. He's a max player. Yeah. And I see things like that and I say, hey, the terms have changed.
They're looking at it from performance and also service, state of mind. I mean, it's easy. I'm telling everybody, I'm imploring you, just read the individual collective bargaining agreements in each sport. You just have a better foundation when these contracts come up, so you don't really have to listen to what the media says. It's all about what the CBA dictates. And I guess that's the purpose of having a union, in any occupation, because they're fighting for more money to the players. We know how big the NFL is. It's ridiculous in terms of how much money it generates. Just imagine how much money the NFL generates across a decade. So Dak's little $45 million a year ain't nothing. It just ain't nothing. I wish the fans had really just stopped looking at the money, because obviously the league and team, media outlets that cover the specific teams by extension, they're going to speak to keep the salaries down. You don't hear many people saying reset the market with Dak, but you hear it so many other times with other quarterbacks, and that's my issue. I just want the verbiage and everything else to be sane to where we're talking about Dak in the relative terms compared to the rest of his peers. When I start to hear little things here and there, and I start to hear this like whole conversation about Dak Prescott, and given it what I just said, I mean it's just ridiculous to me. And it gives the fans like a not good focus, because it becomes all about the drama, and that's what Jerry Jones loves, obviously.
Right. Very true. And then we still have Cam Newton unsigned. I saw Joe Flacco just signed with the Jets as a backup today. So they're still putting the word out that Cam wants to go to a team where he could be a starter. So he's waiting to weigh his options. I don't know how true that is.
I mean, yes, he should be doing that. Like, yeah. Cam shouldn't be. Listen, man, this is how crazy this thing has gotten. Cam Newton should not be even talking about a backup position. Like, as soon as the team says backup position, like, I walk away. Like this.
Yeah, and I don't understand why they can't get a physical done for him. Man. I mean, I know it's it's a down time, but you can give him a COVID-19 test to test him and make sure he's negative, and then give him a regular physical.
If you hear the pundits talking about Cam right now, what they're bringing up is the other stuff. We just don't know if we want to deal with the other stuff that Cam brings. Like, what does he bring? Giving footballs to kids after scoring a touchdown? You know, like it's ridiculous. I mean, the whole dabbing thing became a marketing thing for the league. Because everybody started to do it. They went 15-1 that year. Again, leading up to the first 5 of his career, he had more production than any quarterback in the history of football. But when you start to talk about the off the field things and the perception of him, the attitude, the getting mad and putting a towel over his head after, a failing happens on a football field. Every quarter, if you hand on them, you will see sort of the same expressions and mannerisms. Cam's just a kid that wants to express himself. I don't get it. But if you want to put him on the floor, I mean, you are getting a winner who has proven to be a winner in every level that he's been on. He's already been to the pinnacle. You give another shot and you put some weapons around him, like we talked about so many times, then you might see something special out of Cam Newton. It's like it seemed like people just have written him off because they wanted to write him off based on their perception of him instead of the actual production on the field. When he's healthy, he is an elite quarterback, a franchise quarterback, and there's no question about that. So when people do question that, I got to question them.
Right. Yeah. This is true.
All right. Thank you all for contributing to that. Once again, thank you, YouTube viewership. Thank you, Facebook viewership. Thank you, Spotify and Anchor listenership. Please subscribe, YouTube viewership, Facebook, follow, Spotify, Anchor, please follow. We want to stay with the NFL and go to the New Orleans Saints, or some would say the New Orleans Saints. And let's talk about Drew Brees. Drew Brees has come back for 1 year, and he's got a backup quarterback, Jameis Winston, who comes off of being the starter in Tampa Bay. 5,100 yards passing. He's now the backup in New Orleans. He's getting $1 million per season. And oh, by the way, I just want to throw this out there. How ironic would it be if Tom Brady, and I'm not saying this will happen, but what if Tom Brady had a 23-23 season, like 23 touchdowns and 23 interceptions? What would they say then? They would say he's old. it's just amazing to me how the talk is. I do think that Tampa Bay has got some weapons, but the idea that, oh boy, watch what Tom Brady does without the turnovers. Just the assumption that everything was Jameis Winston's fault is not hilarious to me. It's very sad to me. But let me go to the New Orleans Saints situation. Jameis Winston is the backup quarterback there. He signed a $1 million 1-year contract, replacing Teddy Bridgewater as the backup quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater is now the. What'd you say?
Now that's more what I got a problem with. But go ahead. I'm listening.
Jameis replacing Teddy, or them letting Teddy go?
Jameis only getting $1 million.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. And okay. And so that's what he did. And some people say, oh, he went to go learn from Drew Brees. I don't know. Like Cam is not signing. No, I get it. I'm just telling you what they've said. Remember the quote? I think it was in like our first couple of episodes where the GM said he's going to learn more in 1 week in our organization about being a quarterback than he's learned in his entire life because he's going to be with Sean Payton, the offensive coordinator, and Drew Brees. It's just nuts. But let me clear out the thought because Trey is chomping at the bit to jump in. Let me get this out. So you have Jameis Winston replacing Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater is now the Los Angeles Chargers quarterback. Yes? Yes? Okay. The third string quarterback in New Orleans is Taysom Hill. He's their wildcat guy, but he's the third string quarterback. He threw 5 passes when Drew Brees was injured and Teddy Bridgewater was steering the ship. He signed a 2-year, $21 million contract with $16 million guaranteed. He's the third string quarterback in New Orleans. The second string quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, they let get away. And Jameis Winston is making $1 million a year. React.
I can tell you now, Blaine Gabbert is making more than Jameis Winston. Blaine Gabbert. I don't even know who Cooper Rush is for the New York Giants. Chad Henne is making more than Jameis Winston. These are career backups. This guy's been a starter, a high production starter.
Third most yards ever last season. Ever.
Nate Sudfeld is getting $2 million.
It's something behind the scenes that we don't know that feels, I think, if I don't, or he's been told, if you don't take this contract, we're not going to give you no contract and you could possibly be done.
I believe it.
As far as football, like his hand is forced to even stay in the league to try to get back to the status that he was, because he don't need $1 million. You know what I mean? He don't need $1 million. He could walk away and would nothing change in his life. His hand is forced, and it's something behind the scenes that we don't know, but it's despicable. That stature.
It has to be. Yeah. You know,
Marcus Mariota is getting $8 million from the Raiders. 8.8. That's almost 9. Taysom Hill no one can tell me that Marcus Mariota's career in Tennessee was better than Jameis Winston's in Tampa Bay. I don't see it.
After they take taxes out that $1 million and he pay his agent, that's what he's bringing home, brother. Like, come on, he's gonna play a football season for $400,000.
Okay, no state tax in Florida. No state tax in Florida. So
okay.
Oh yeah, about that.
And I don't know. Here's the thing, devil's advocate. I don't know that Mariota is the comparison that we want to make, because he has at least been starting this entire time before he now signed there.
No, he lost his job
during last season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this entire time up until last season, and then now he
had been benched several times prior, but yeah, he completely lost his job.
And is this his existing contract, or did the Raiders sign him for this amount?
The Raiders signed him as a free agent for 8.8.
Okay. So maybe he beat Jameis Winston to the punch. I don't know. Like, I don't really like your organization either. I don't think that they make good decisions there in Las Vegas. But that $8.8 million is locked up too, because there's no state tax in Nevada. So, but I have the problem with Taysom Hill. Like, he's making more than, let's go with that. He's making more than Marcus Mariota. Yeah. He's making more than a lot of people with this 10.5 per season, and he's the third string quarterback. We don't see this ever. And you could say, oh, well, he comes in and he plays receiver and he's a decoy. He's making $10.5 million per season, $8 million per season guaranteed.
And how often do you see the third string quarterback even play if there's no injuries? That means he's a $10 million practice squad player.
Listen, I don't know.
How many snaps a game did he get?
Well, he had 5. He had 5 backing up Bridgewater. I think he threw 5 passes. So let me see how many snaps he had. Let me see snaps. I got you. I'm looking it up.
Okay. And his base salary is 10.7. He's got a guaranteed signing bonus for 4. That's just for this year. And he's got a 1.4 roster bonus. So he's getting $16 million this year for this season total.
Yeah, man. Listen,
he's a third string quarterback.
And I don't think Jameis ever gotten a fair shake, man. From, they say you could make one mistake and it could change your life. In the back of these people's mind, he's always the seafood guy, whatever it was he was taking. And, it's a mistake that he made. And I feel like that's still haunting him. And something happened in that locker room or behind the scenes with management or something where the league, I should say, not just one particular team. And his hand is forced.
See, I mean, it's like here's the thing that just sticks in my craw, man. How the narratives for some just aren't like it is for others. Like you didn't have a Cam Newton press conference would never be a Peyton Manning press conference. He just wouldn't be asked those sort of questions. I want to be tolerant here. Like I want to be tolerant here and say that. I mean, it is a known fact that quarterbacks is off the hook, especially in college, right? The whole stadium's coming towards them. The women love them. They're the quarterback. But so I don't just understand how all of these negative things that came into the league with Jameis Winston outweigh the fact that he, won a championship, lost one game in college, and was close to winning another one. And, he came into the league and produced immediately. Like the production is what is being scrutinized at times now. That's just what I can't understand. Like no one was critical of other quarterbacks for doing what Jameis is doing, and he's even putting up more yards. Like this is crazy to me. It's crazy to me because I'm going by the sound of the noise, right? I'm going by, what the pundits write, and how they do this across the board. So when I see things for other guys that just aren't mentioned, but the same things that aren't mentioned are mentioned with Jameis and Cam, I gotta dismiss you. Like I can't even respect you for saying some of the things you say. Remember we were talking about last week how that guy who covers Alabama football for the most part, we never got his name, did we? Balding guy, glasses.
No.
You guys.
I still don't know who you're talking about, man. And I was listening. Hey, I was listening back the other day, and I was like, did he ever say who he was talking about? Man, I don't know who this. I don't know who this person is.
Like they cut off to it. Like he's like a known college football analyst at ESPN.
Reese Davis?
No, man, he's an older guy. Like this guy's been in there for a long time. It is the same. I can't remember his name, but he was very critical of Cam when he talked about when the conversation was about Carolina releasing him. That's the problem that I have. The words that come out of their mouths immediately in their description of him. Like they didn't even talk about the 58 touchdowns on the ground or the comparable comparisons over blocks of time, 5 years, 10 years, where he's putting up historical numbers like at the top of history. Those things become an afterthought because of how these players are described and criticized. Like when they're doing the same things really that other players are doing. Like we never heard about Peyton Manning's little altercation with his nutsack. we didn't hear that till later on. That would have been in the first paragraph talking about Jameis. That's the issue I have. I just want to see consistency from my peers, and when I don't, it's just disrespectful to me.
Agreed.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. And one thing that okay, so let you guys know about the private chat because my boy Rod is over here killing me. He said when I took my hat off, I remind him of Detroit Red. Hey, I'll take that because Detroit Red became Malcolm X, so I'm good with that. Shout out to Malcolm X.
Happy belated, Malcolm. Happy belated.
Boy, he's playing that, and happy belated. And now he's talking about conch. Now that would definitely be reserved specifically for Detroit Red and others, not for your boy AC. There's nothing there. Just hair under my hat. Thank you again, YouTube viewership. Thank you again, Facebook viewership. Thank you, Anchor listenership. Thank you, Spotify listenership. Thank you, everybody listening on the other DSPs. We are the Collective Podcast. This is episode 13. We appreciate you guys being here. As always, what are we without you? We're just four guys talking, but when we have you, we are the Collective Podcast. So we appreciate you. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. Listen, we wanted to get together today and go live and talk a little bit about Jerry Sloan and the NBA. And we wanted to transition to the NFL, but Rod took us on a different path and started talking about Ken Norton Sr., rest in peace. So, he was having flashbacks from his young days wearing his Zoot suits and dancing at the Cotton Club and all of that. Hey, wow. We understand it. We understand it. Then we transitioned to the NFL. Who knows what we'll talk about in episode 14, which will drop next Tuesday, the day after Memorial Day. Listen, what we get to now is the part of the episode that we call the closeout. And for those of you that have been with us, you know what the closeout is. For those of you that don't, let me learn you something. The closeout is where we go around the horn and each one of us closes out the episode. Everybody gets an opportunity to give a closing thought. We call it the closeout. We'll go in reverse order from those that joined us today. So, Trey, you're first.
I just want to thank you all for, tuning in, listening to us, and joining us for our first live episode. I hope everybody out there is safe during these ever-changing times that we're having. Please do us a favor. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend about us. And because we would love to have more listeners in, listening to us. And if you have a topic that you want us to talk about, then please reach out to us. Again, prayers going out to the Sloan family and the Utah Jazz. Right now, man, I just want everybody to be safe, and let's find positive in this year. It's been tough so far, but it's brighter days ahead. And yeah, everybody stay safe and tune into us next time.
Baby Hair 1. I know it says 562, but we're going back to when the Earth was created, and that's just 1. So, Baby Hair 1, break it down for us.
Listeners, what's going on? I just want to end my segment by saying, be safe out there. Continue to use your mask. Use common sense. I know in this day and time, it's not always that common, but do the best you can.
Right.
Use common sense. Keep some space between you and others, whether you agree with the pandemic and the quarantines or not. Just rather be safe than sorry. Also, I saw the Weather Channel this morning. It's supposed to be some severe weather hitting the plain states in the South. Do what you can to protect you and your loved ones. I don't know if they're getting tornado warnings right now, but with all that's going on in this beginning of 2020, the last thing we need is a catastrophic tornado or hurricane to rip through and just make it that much worse. However you can, please be safe. Continue to join us and tune in. Prayers for you and your families.
Absolutely.
Yes, and before Mizzo goes, just to keep it on a serious note, remember that if you find yourself in a situation where you need some type of guidance on what to do during a pandemic and the CDC is not doing it for you, reach out to Baby Hair 562. He survived the locusts, the plague. He helped Noah build the ark. He's been around. So go ahead, Mizzo.
Man, before I get into what I want to say about sports, which is really just a statement. Dads, so my daughter drove up from North Carolina today, and a couple of days ago, and she said, "Dad, I bringing my boyfriend." So I haven't seen my daughter since Christmas, and it's always. But when he got that significant other, especially when it's a daughter and her boyfriend, it's kind of awkward. Like it's kind of awkward because I want to go Bad Boys Reggie scene. There's 69,000 million on them. But it was a pleasant surprise that her boyfriend was a real chill dude. Like he was playing Roy Ayers in his car. He's 23 years old. Just they got that chill vibe about them. It's good to see your kids happy. It's a new relationship, so it's no guarantees, but I like to see them. I like to see this guy again. It was hard for me to admit that. It's really hard, man, for your daughters when you're dad. Because I done learned all the dirt that I done. You don't want to come back on you. But shout out to Q and my daughter. I'm glad that they came up. The point I wanted to make though was about the Facebook debates that seem to be happening now. With these, Mike LeBron, Kobe LeBron, Kareem Mike, Mike Kareem, Mike Will Kareem. I dig them to a certain point, but I think that it's and I talked about this before. Like, aren't there other things we can talk about in sports besides comparisons? Like, I understand the comparisons are entertainment. They fill up your Facebook page with comments and you get all these likes and whatever. But like, isn't the game's bigger than that? Like how are we talking about Mike versus Kareem or Mike versus Wilt? They're all kind of different eras. They're different positions, different rules. And definitely different attributes from the players. I appreciate y'all talking about sports because what else you going to talk about? But try to tinker it up a little bit. I ain't speaking from the porch, where my old man shaking the fist on y'all, but just talk about coaches, talk about individual players. I say, yo, Steph's my dude, or whatever, or LeBron's my dude. If people want to come on and talk about their dude, that's cool. That's cool too. But their dude really ain't none of your business, right? So why should it be like a heated, passionate debate about who the best is? Everybody has a different experiences and views of anything that we see out of these eyes that we have. But just try to be respectful for everyone involved, and don't be stealing nobody's Jordans over a Mike Kareem debate.
Right. That's what's up. Hey, yeah. I appreciate the three of you. I love rocking with you guys twice a week. This is absolutely amazing. And hey, let me quickly speak to the whole twice a week situation. The idea to go twice a week was hatched by my sister, Danielle Carter. I believe she's actually watching right now. And if not, I know she'll either watch it or listen later because she is a loyal listener on Spotify. So definitely appreciate that. My pops is a loyal watcher on YouTube. So Anthony Carter Sr., shout out. But the idea came from Danielle because as a loyal listener, she thought, hey, I listen. You're my brother. I like what you guys have to say. I like how you guys do it, but it's long. In the beginning, we were doing 3.5 hour episodes. She tried to get me to bring it down to an hour, and I figured we pretty much shoot for an hour and a half. And the first time we did it, we split one episode into two. The next time we did it, we recorded one, took like a 30-minute break, and then recorded another one. And then after that, we just started going twice a week. And I think that we pretty much get it all out in an hour and a half, and then we take some time with the closeout. And a hardcore piece is very long-winded, so his closeout is usually around 7 minutes long by itself.
Hey, even when we tell him, hey, we got 3 minutes.
All right.
But it's always valuable. It's always valuable information. And one thing, shout out to Baby Hair 562. He's doing whatever he needs to do so that he can actually stay awake during the podcast these days. So we appreciate that. But Danielle gave me the idea to split it in two, and she's watching right now. So shout out to her. My closeout.
What's up?
What's up? So my closeout, I want to go back to January 3rd, 2003. And since, Mike's all about us not talking about comparisons, I just want to go to this. Let's go to the Fiesta Bowl. I finally watched this play again. I watched it when it happened, Miami versus Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl. And I was disgusted. And this was well before I became an official. This is 5 years before 5.5 years before I became a high school football official, and 8.5 years before I became a college football official. And so I watched this play again, and I'm just as hurt as I was on January 3rd, 2003. Just like Charles Smith just missed another putback, I still can't find that the pass interference on that play. I still can't find it. That changed the game completely. If that is not called, that game is over, and Miami wins back-to-back national championships. And I don't speak. I don't speak on officiating because I am an official. But I'll just say that looking back on it, I'm still very disappointed in that situation. I don't know who was on it, and I still can't even tell who threw the flag. But listen, it wasn't PI. So you stole one, Maurice Claret. Just want to throw that at you. Y'all stole one, and y'all put Willis McGahee down in that game. But whatever. So the closeout. Watch that. I still cannot watch UNLV Duke. I don't care what y'all say. I can't go back. I can't watch it. We appreciate you guys. Listen, this is a sleeve to a mask that I have. It's not the mask, but it's a sleeve to the mask that I have. I have a training mask. And I just want to show you guys. Listen, when you put the mask, oh, it's upside down. When you put the mask on, we want you to cover all of this, right? Cover, strap it. I'm seeing people that do this. Why are you just covering your mouth? It's still possible for you to infect people through your nose, and it's still possible for you to get infected. And if you don't care about your own life, I get it. But can you please care about everyone else? Because you can infect everyone else because your face is not covered.
Tell them about my
You can infect everyone else because your face is not fully covered. Stop being a rebel. Just don't wear the mask and then don't go into the spot or infect your family, but don't infect everyone else, please. Hey, we appreciate you. This is dropping today. It's up now. Well, we recorded it live today on Friday. I generally post on Saturday, but I may just post it today if it's available. Otherwise, you'll see it on Saturday. Thanks for being live. We will have this is episode 13. We will have episode 14 on Tuesday, the day after Memorial Day. So be ready for that. Again, thank you so much. We appreciate you, fellas.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
BP.
Appreciate it. Until next time, everybody out there have a wonderful Memorial Day. Be safe.
Be safe.
All right.
Cheers.
We out.